On this episode of Time About the Movies, the X-Men come together for the first time ever in this prequel, directed by Matthew Vaughn, which went on to help reignite the X-Men franchise. And many people love it, except for one. I'm going to give you a guess on who that is, but X-Men First Class. We'll take a look at that one, and we'll also take a look at Christopher Plummer in his Oscar-winning performance in Beginners, which, if you ask me, it's something that should have gone to a much better actor in general in terms of performance. I'll explain more as we begin this episode of June 3rd, 2011. That's today on Time About the Movies.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States. The cost of freedom is always high. No one can foresee precisely what course it will take. One path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
Ready for this? Let's find out. Listen to me very carefully, my friend. Killing will not bring you peace. Peace was never an option.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two films of June 3rd, 2011. And we begin with our first movie that we have here, and that is X-Men First Class. And after X-Men Origins Wolverine kind of killed the X-Men franchise for a little bit, they brought in the guy who made Kick-Ass, Matthew Vaughn, to help reignite the franchise. And it kind of worked because it eventually did lead to a good X-Men sequel after this with Days of Future Past. But the first film, let's just run into it real quickly, okay? Yeah, I didn't like this one as much as everybody else did, but I'll get to that after I read you the synopsis here. Before Charles Xavier, James McAvoy, and Eric Lenzer, Michael Fassbender took the names of Professor X and Magneto, they were two young men discovering their powers for the first time. Before they were arch-enemies, they were closest of friends, working together with other mutants to stop the greatest threat the world has ever known, and in the process a rift between them opens, which begins the eternal war between Magneto's Brotherhood and Professor X's X-Men. Now, unlike a lot of people, I was not looking forward to this movie at all, especially after what had happened with X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine. And after those two films, I pretty much gave up on the X-Men franchise, and I thought there was no way coming out of that movie like this, coming out of the Wolverine, it's like, there's no way to come back from this. And I wanted to forget that this movie was even coming out, but then the reviews started coming in, and everyone was like, you know, this is actually really good. You're missing out on something really special here. So I went into it with a little bit more optimism, and let's just say that as much as everybody likes this movie, I just thought it was just okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. Let me explain, because I know there's people out there giving me negative comments right now, or giving me a negative thumbs down, or what you could, is it like that type of stuff. It's just like, let me explain the situation here. I know that a lot of people like this movie, but really, there's so much about this movie that I just didn't think worked at all. Mixed in with the stuff that does work, I think the performances overall are really good. I think James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender as Xavier and Magneto work very well. I think Jennifer Lawrence is great as Mystique. You know, I actually gave a shit about Mystique in this one. I mean, she isn't just eye candy like Rebecca Romijn was in the other X-Men movies. And the rest of the cast, He does a really good job. I like Nicholas Hoult as Beast in this. The action sequences overall were very good. But the special effects were pretty good too. Although there were definitely times when they did look kind of cheap on the level of something like a G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. And my biggest overall problem with the movie is that the first half of the movie I thought was not as good as the second half. I think it's one of those movies where the first half just drags on and on and on, and it just felt like you never felt thrilled or invested in any way, shape, or form. Like, it was just such a bore. Like, I just couldn't... Like, it was just a movie where it's just kind of like, I mean, come on, get something going here. You have the pieces there to make something work, and you're not doing anything to make it as engaging or as thrilling. Like, once the mutants attack the CIA, that's where the movie picks up. I mean, the last action sequences were really good. I mean, that was where the movie just really took off. And even by the end of it, I was just kind of like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. And especially considering we had so many good reboots coming out with Batman Begins and Star Trek, I was really hoping X-Men First Class would join that, but it just didn't do it for me, man. I know I'm one of the very few people who did not like this movie, but I can't help it. I didn't find the value in this whatsoever. I just thought it was just kind of bland for the most part. And granted, yes, it's an improvement over the last two X-Men movies, but it's not something I'd want to rush out again to see. I barely have ever wanted to watch this movie again. It just, when it goes to the best X-Men movies, I go straight from X-Men 2 to Days of Future Past, and I just completely forget about 3 and Wolverine, and also First Class. I just go straight to Days of Future Past, and then of course the Wolverine, Logan, you name it. But yeah, this just didn't do it for me, and I know I am in that very small category of people that says this, but I can't help it, man. I didn't find the value in this that most people did. That's just my personal opinion on that one there. So yeah, that's the one I feel like I'm going to get the most flack for. I probably won't get as much flack for the last movie we'll look at here, which is Beginners, which, yeah, as much as I love Christopher Plummer, he did not deserve to win the Oscar for this performance.
Sex, life, healing, nature, magic.
The memory of the refrain.
Yeah, this is the pretentious piece of garbage. Yeah, I did not enjoy this movie at all. I thought it was way too stuck up its own butt, and it's a noble effort, I will give it that, but at the same time, it's just like, I really don't care about any of these people whatsoever. It has an intriguing concept here. This is inspired by the director Mike Mills' own life, where it draws from the story of his father coming out as gay at the age of 75, 5 years before his death. And, Ewan McGregor plays this graphic designer who navigates a new romantic relationship in the wake of his father, Hal's late life revelation and illness, with Christopher Plummer playing Hal and Melanie Laurent and Goran Visnik starring in supporting roles. And it's across two interwoven timelines. We have Oliver's growing connection with Anna, an actress grappling with her own emotional distance, and flashbacks to a revolving bond with Hal during the final years of his life. As Oliver reconciles with his father's truth and legacy, he confronts his own fears about love, commitment, and identity. And again, good concept overall, could make for a very engaging film. I went into this with a lot of high hopes for it, and especially after Christopher Plummer won the Oscar for it, and I came out of it just going like, that's it? I mean, there's really nothing about this movie that's that deep or so important. And Christopher Plummer has made so many other better movies where he could have easily won an Academy Award for. The Sound of Music, The Last Station, the last film he was in, he was really good in that. He was great in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, A Beautiful Mind. He's been in a lot of good stuff. Inside Man, Malcolm X, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Somewhere in Time. All those movies had better performances and were better suited for an Oscar for him than this. This is literally the equivalent of Colin Firth winning the Oscar for Best Actor. You're not giving it to him because he gave a great performance in this. You're giving it to him because it's a career Oscar. It's for, hey, there hasn't been a movie that we think you're worthy of winning the Oscar for, so here, take this, and let's give you an Oscar and devote any of these other actors who actually tried and try to do something with their performances. Like, I'm sorry, his performance in here is fine, but it's not the best supporting actor, or it's not worthy of a best supporting actor Oscar. Nobody in here really is doing much in here. It is, and it does get kind of pretentious. Like, it is trying to be those. It's not quite Terrence Malick. Toy boat. It's not Terrence Malick pretentious levels of pretentiousness, but it's still kind of up there in the fact that it's got its head kind of up its own butt. And like I said, the concept overall is good. It could make for an engaging film, but it just doesn't feel like it has that oomph that it needs to really elevate it to that next level. I really came out of this really bored and thinking to myself, man, I'm going to be one of the few people that really does not like this movie. And I really didn't. I tried my best to give it the benefit of a doubt. And it's just like, it's just kind of bland. It's just kind of a lackluster, again, pretentious movie. Nobody really is given 110% in this film. Not even the Christopher Plummer, who of course got all these awards for it. I didn't even think he was giving it his all in this. It's just like, there's so many other better movies that these actors have been in where they've really shown what they can do as an actor as a whole. But in this, not so much. Again, my personal opinion on that one. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Beginners. And I just know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this stuff. Yeah, not a great start to the month of June. But on the next episode of Time About the Movies, we will have a much better slate. At least with one movie, because we have the J.J. Abrams-Steven Spielberg collaboration, which is basically a modern-day Amblin movie made from the 1980s, brought for the modern day, which is Super 8. We'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at Heather Graham starring in Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer, based off the children's books of the same name. We'll take a look at both of those movies coming up tomorrow on this show, so be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. And also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.